The menace of street hawking is a crazy phenomenon.
A friend of mine was complaining about it, and he said, why do I have to go to the supermarket and pay 500 naira for a nylon bag?
You go to a supermarket and then they give you toothbrush, 1 nylon, soap, 1 nylon, drinks, 1 nylon.
So many things that nature does for us for free. We just take it for granted.
Overlooking.
And just think like, this is something that we're always going to have.
If you are told that an empty bottle of soda costs 150 naira, you wouldn't find empty bottles around.
The key thing is making sure that we are using our resources today in a way that won't stop future generations from using resources tomorrow.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Naija Eco Vibes Podcast, where we are sustaining nature one vibe at a time. I am Barrister Turate Excella Sanga, the Legal Policy and Advocacy Officer of Nigerian Conservation Foundation. Currently, we are in the heart of Lekki Conservation Center, and I'm not doing this alone. I have my co-host here with me in the studio.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Naija Eco Vibes Podcast, your one-stop shop for quality conversations around climate change, biodiversity conservation, and the environment in general. I am Oluwasooto Oduguwa, the Media and Communications Manager for Nigerian Conservation Foundation. But for all purposes and intention, I will go by the name Shomi. And to give a brief introduction, Nigeria is the most populous black nation in the world, with a population of 220 million. And UN estimates that number will hit 377 million by 2050. And the interesting part of this is that 53% of that number lives in the city, which is smaller by default than the rural environment. And it begs the question, and it brings a lot of growth and pressure to the urban areas. And so we have traffic congestion, we have housing crisis, and also very importantly, carbon emission issues. And it begs the question, can our cities be sustainable? And so I'll allow him to do the introduction of our guests in the house.
So we have formidable, powerful lady and a gentleman in the studio right here. Yes. So I'll say a fun fact about this lady. She's actually Nigerian. She was born in Cote d'Ivoire, raised in Malawi, Kenya, and Zambia.
Wow.
We are talking about no other person but Miss Oluwasooto Ajayi.
I'm very impressed. You really did your research.
Thank you. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on this episode. And before she proceeds, ladies and gentlemen, we have to introduce the gentleman amongst us as well.
Right.
And he is the CEO and founder of Land Shop. So we are talking about no other person but the dog himself, David Omaghomi. Welcome to our studio.
Nice to have you join us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So, having this personality in our studio today just necessitates our topic for this episode, which is, can Nigeria, or can we have a sustainable city in Nigeria? So we are looking at the pros and cons, the challenges and the opportunities involved. Yes. But before we delve into that, just so that everybody's relaxed, I want to ask, let me start with my lady right here.
Ladies
how was
first,
your
like
week? Thank you. How was your week? The past few days, how have you been transporting yourself to work and all of that? Everything in between. We want to know how you've been experiencing Lagos as a city.
So, yes, first of all, it is an honor to be here. Thank you so much. As you mentioned, my name is Oluwasooto. So just wanted to correct the pronunciation. But I also go by my nickname, Sho.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I am the Africa lead for Business for Nature, and I moved to Lagos actually quite recently. So it's been less than 2 years now.
Oh, really?
Yes. But it has been incredible to be here. Lagos has so much life and vibrancy, and there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of chaos as well, Lou.
It's the only state that has, this is Lagos, not welcome to Lagos.
Exactly.
A reality check for you.
You better welcome yourself.
Exactly.
But generally, I just find the people incredible. So I'm really thankful for my community, the partners that we work with, my church, and also just all the different activities happening. So I would say that generally I've had a really good week.
Oh, that's really nice. So does that mean that within the 2 years of your stay in Lagos, have you experienced the traffic? You're
I was going to get there and ask that what that key thing about Lagos
because you
for
can't
her.
come to Lagos and not experience the traffic jam.
Yeah, so the traffic is very real. I had been visiting Lagos before I officially moved here,
Okay.
so I was already prepared mentally. I think, to be honest, I stay in my house. I stay a lot in my house because of this traffic. But I also try to be strategic about when I go out. So I try to make sure that I go out either after the traffic is ending or before it starts. So I think that really helps. You can't completely avoid it because,
True,
as you mentioned, it's
Lagos.
It's Lagos, But generally it hasn't been too bad for me, or maybe I'm just a positive person.
No. I mean,
And perhaps you're a sustainable person as well by choosing how you commute.
Right.
There we go.
Not spending too much time in traffic.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're practicing what you preach.
That's it, man.
okay, so Doc, please, how has your week been?
Okay, so I'm not a doctor first.
We've elevated you as your
So perhaps I should be going in that direction.
Yes.
I've had a great week, and then getting to cap up the week by joining the Naija Eco Vibes podcast.
Give it up.
Really made my week pop.
For me, I experienced traffic yesterday.
I was going to add,
hectic.
even this morning when it rains.
The flood. I mean,
Right.
on the island here, it's just terrible, and it begs the question: can we really live in a sustainable city, whether it's Lagos, Abuja, Kano, or even Port Harcourt? Can we truly live in a sustainable city here in Nigeria? I think that we'll start with Doc. Please, I'd like to adopt that.
So I think you should stick by Prince.
You know to use Prince.
Prince David Omaghomi. I'm a trustee of the Eco Restoration Foundation.
Okay.
And we're coastal advocacy committed to the conservation, protection, and restoration of coastal wetlands.
Yeah.
When you introduced me from one of the sociopreneur ventures I'm involved with.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting on this seat as a trustee of the Eco Restoration Foundation. So that is where I find purpose meeting my passion better than any other business I've partnered or founded over that. So that's for who I am. So please, this doc you are introducing me until I pick up the PhD form and get it.
Please.
Coincidentally, I did 4 years in medical school.
Oh, wow.
So my parents, my spouse, they call me quack doctor. so when you started calling me doc, I'm wondering
You see.
Because we did a lot of research. Like she found out where you were born.
She did her homework.
Yeah. So
I had to do my due diligence. Now, you people are not small people at all.
Okay, you are speaking like a lawyer now. Yes, you are. All right, so I'm happy you alluded to the fact that it's been a hell of a week for you based on traffic, and that traffic is flood induced. Sustainable cities is a ruse, it's a textbook theory as it relates to Nigeria, because our cities really just evolved. It's difficult to actually live sustainably in Nigerian cities, particularly because of the socio-political issues around policy consistency. Okay. So when we do not really follow regulations as per city planning, urban planning, the rules are there. There is the idea that Lagos is going to have, say take the island, for example, Lekki, Scheme 1, Scheme 2, Scheme 3, up to Scheme 8.
Yes.
And government only really fixed Scheme 1 at the time, while the Dangote Refinery Complex, the Ibejileki Free Trade Zone are in Scheme 8. Everything in between Scheme 2, from Ibrahim Adesoya down, really didn't go by the master plan. So we have the local landowners, Omoniles, selling and building, streets interjoining. At the end of the day, all the drainages are lost, all the natural flood paths are lost, and cities are built. So if government then needs to enforce, there will be a lot of demolition. And it begs the question of where was government when people were building along the flood pathways. So sustainable cities, like I started with, is actually a ruse, but it's not unachievable. We can build new towns, we can build new cities, and then government can relocate people in areas where there was failure with planning or with enforcement of policies to new areas, and then rework the city. So Lagos, for example, can be rebuilt. We can actually rebuild Lagos. There is still a lot of land areas. People can be relocated, sustainably, and we rework the city. And I think there's a lot of effort going on in that direction at the moment. It just requires us to work together.
I mean, I love how you put it, but for me, I just want to really understand. Let people know that, look, when we are talking about sustainable city, what is the picture you have in mind? If you were to paint it based off on that master plan, how would the city look?
Okay, so sustainable living, first off, is going about your daily lifetime or your activities in a way that is not injurious to the environment. It involves a city that is built to give people intermodal transportation, a city that respects nature.
Definitely.
The amount of green areas in Lagos State, as an example, is less than 3%. So that really tells you, green areas dedicated, not just forests or green cover, dedicated areas is less than 3%. Now, a sustainable city would provide infrastructure that helps you with waste segregation. If you segregate your waste from your home, as good as you are, when the waste pickup agency comes, it may get muddled up together. Right. So whatever effort you made gets lost at collection point. Then there could be a sustainable city would create room for cycling, bike walkways, drainages that desilt themselves. We have drainages that even before the road gets commissioned, it's already blocked.
Right.
We have cities where the drainages are cleared and the silt from the drainage is left right beside the road.
By the road.
And then it goes back into the drainage. So the transportation system of sustainable cities is intentional to allow people move in particular directions, particular times. The transport regulation, the transport code. In the past, we used to know that certain vehicles don't go out on certain days by the numbers. I don't know the generations that remember that, but there are generations that if you had odd numbers on your car plates, you don't go out on Mondays, you only go out on Tuesdays. So that way, the society kind of does natural
some kind of
balancing. So number of vehicles on the road per time is reduced. So I've addressed transportation, infrastructure creation. Community farms, community-based farms, communal farming. So it reduces people's travel time to the market. Then renewable energy cooperatives, whereby tariffs on solar panels is removed as much as possible. So if government can't fix electricity, it's better government positions itself to allow people fix it themselves.
Right.
It's crazy to imagine that it's more expensive to buy inverters than buying generators. So a sustainable city will be very intentional in knocking off tariffs or anything that would make it more difficult for people to power their homes.
True. Okay. So you mentioned, but you mentioned something about the impact on people now. Because again, we're looking at sustainable living in Nigerian cities, and we're trying to look at the challenges and opportunities. So you mentioned something about electricity for people. So I want to move it away now in a way to the conversation around the people themselves, how these things impact them. So I want to just ask for businesses now. What does it mean? Is there a way businesses
private sector
given they don't have a role to play in these things? But before you come in, I'd like to just remind us again. Our topic is sustainable living in Nigerian cities. The challenges and opportunities. So he has touched on the role of people, government, what we can do, how it affects our living. So is there a role that businesses have to play in all of this sustainable living we're looking at?
Yeah, thanks a lot for that question. So as I mentioned, I'm the Africa lead for Business for Nature. And just to provide some context, Business for Nature is a global coalition of over 100 influential partner organizations, as well as forward-thinking companies. So Nigeria Conservation Foundation is one of our partners here in Nigeria.
Interesting.
And so we're working with partner organizations that have either a business network focused on sustainability or are helping businesses in some kind of way. They may be conservation groups, for example, but they have some type of business network, or they have business associations. So our mission is to act and advocate for nature, to make sure that we are increasing the policy ambition, policy action, and also credible business action. And just as he mentioned, we need to recognize the role of government. When we're talking about sustainable cities, yes, we need to think about businesses, we need to think about individuals, but you need that direction from your leadership. You need that master plan, and you need to make sure that people are abiding by that. So that's one of the things that businesses can do, to make sure that they are complying with environmental regulations, but then also to think more broadly about how they are providing value. So we, as Business for Nature, we think about a nature positive economy. That is our big focus. So instead of this kind of old thinking of just unbridled capitalism, where you just focus on grow, and a lot of inequality. We're thinking about how can we create wealth in a way that is sustainable for people, but then also sustainable for the planet. So making sure that everybody can be included, and that we're reducing inequality as well. So in terms of the role for business, one of the things that we advocate is something called Act D. So these are the high-level actions that businesses can take. So A is assess. As a business, how are you dependent on nature, and how are you impacting nature? I think a lot of businesses think, we're just going to plant trees, or we're going to give some money, or
that's greenwashing.
Exactly. So there needs to be a sort of systematic approach to how you are engaging with nature. So first of all, look at your DERO, your dependencies, impacts, risks, and opportunities. And there are things like the Task Force for Nature-related Financial Disclosures, exploring natural capital, Encore. There are tools like the WWF Biodiversity Risk Tool, the Natural Capital Protocol, and there's so many others, but these are some of the ones that we've worked with. But the key thing is recognize first, as a business, what role you play. So we can tell businesses, and our partners can tell businesses, hey, you have a role to play, but they need to recognize how they are part of that bigger picture. That's the first thing, doing a materiality assessment and recognizing how is nature, in which areas is nature material to us? So do we need to be thinking about water mostly? Do we need to be thinking about reducing our pollution? All those types of things. So that's the first thing, assess. And the next one is commit. So take make science-based targets and commitments to make sure that based on your assessment that you are being sustainable. Then T is transform. So that's where the, giving money, planting trees would come in. So instead of just, we're just going to do this because our competitor is planting 2,000 trees, so let's do something. Make sure that you're transforming your business after taking all these other steps. And then after that, disclose. So be transparent about your journey and be honest about
sustainable reporting.
Exactly, sustainability reporting. There's so many different frameworks, and you need to figure out, again, through your partners as well. So working with other partners is really important. This is why it's important to be part of these business associations. Nigerian Conservation Foundation has so many business partners that they work with, that they help, for them to know how to be sustainable. So so disclose this and know which disclosure frameworks is most relevant for you. So I would say that is how businesses can play a role, by thinking systematically about how they are dependent on nature, and then how they can contribute to halting and reversing nature loss.
Thank you
I'd
so much.
like to add something to what she said about businesses. And one is that businesses should also be made either by government or by people to fall in line. It's one thing to have the reporting systems, the ACT system, and all the protocols and systems. But we see most times that more businesses are beginning to take these steps from a greenwashing perspective, from a trend perspective, not from a transformative perspective. And I think two things that stand out, and I'm speaking from the activism point of view, is that government must enforce the Extended Producer Responsibility Act or clause or laws, which means that businesses must be held responsible for the shelf life of their products. So if I'm manufacturing something with PET bottles, it should not just be me having sustainability in my reporting and all the standards and all the ISOs and all the certifications. It's me ensuring that that PET bottle comes back to recycling. So there is the extended producer responsibility if I'm manufacturing electronics, for example. In other model cities where sustainability is, where the cities are being more sustainable.
Yeah.
It's part of the cost price. And by being part of the cost price, it drives the waste to wealth system.
Right.
So if a bottle of soda,
Yes.
if a bottle of soda, for example, is 400 naira,
Yes.
it means the bottle itself is about 200 naira. The content is about 200 naira. Now that bottle finds its way into the environment, into the society, clogs the
Waterways,
drainages,
yes.
it destroys the aesthetics and stays in our oceans. That company is making a lot of money from manufacturing the soda and the bottle. It should be able to incentivize the recollection of that soda and make recollection exciting, make recollection, propel it. Right now, it's about maybe 5 naira or 3 naira for the recollection. And so you see per bottle, and you see people who are participating in that recollection exercise are more like the lowest rung of the society. People living in shanties or people cleaners collecting bottles, because they can feed on that few naira, few bucks.
Sure.
So with extended producer responsibility being enforced by government, and I still believe government's role is the largest share. If government enforces that, businesses will sit up. Now, businesses that are compelled to do some of these things out of, like I said, trend or out of international regulations, out of green financing reasons, not out
because
of...
their competitor is doing it, like
Right.
you stated.
And then the second leg to this, to make us as a society live sustainably, is to boycott businesses that the society identifies as being irresponsible. So if everybody stops taking soda A and starts taking soda B, you will see that gradually it becomes an economic issue. So economics is at the heart of sustainable living. It's either economical for the business, making more profit without bordering on recollection, or it becomes an economic issue when it is properly incentivized. If you are told that an empty bottle of soda costs 150 naira, you wouldn't find empty bottles around. People will have no reason to be broke because they will go after the bottle. People will start fighting for the bottles. But right now in the value chain, in the economic value chain, it's almost trash. It's almost little to nothing.
And so people don't really care.
So people don't really care.
Things.
People throw it off their houses.
They could care less.
So extended producer responsibility, government enforcing it, and then society boycotting unserious businesses.
Thank you. You said something very important. Sorry, before you comment, and you mentioned the flow of while you were speaking, you talked about the fact that for instance, the example we gave, the businesses and what I deduce from what you said is that businesses themselves also have a role to play in a way.
Definitely.
To the fact that our cities or our living or our lifestyle is not so sustainable. And you get what I'm saying?
Correct.
So is there something, I want to go bring it back to this, is there something that businesses can do to reduce these urban challenges? Because he mentioned something about how some of these products that they let out, it clogs the waterways. Some of these things result in traffic. So it's like a system of chaos. It results in traffic, and it's like we're in this loop, never-ending loop. So I was going to ask: is there something, or is there some way that these businesses themselves can help in some of these urban challenges that we face?
So the kind of loop that I like is called the ambition loop. So imagine an infinity symbol. On one side, you would have policy action, and on the other side, you would have business action. So as he said, you need government. Government needs to say, okay, this is the direction that we're going, and everybody needs to fall in line. But then you also have businesses saying, okay, so because we have these regulations and these policies, we're going to take action. And then that also encourages governments, because sometimes one of the reasons that governments may be a little bit hesitant to taking action is because they're thinking, oh, but we don't know if businesses actually have the capacity to comply with the policies that we're coming up with. So we need businesses to grow in the capacity. And you see that this is why I mentioned forward-thinking companies, leading businesses. There are leading businesses that are not waiting for that regulation to be in place. So for example, there's something called the the International Sustainability Standards Board, and they have come up with some standards that companies are abiding by when talking about, sustainability reporting. Now, it has not yet become fully mandatory in Nigeria, but it will be soon.
Right.
And we already have some early adopters that are like, okay, we want to learn about this. We want to start practicing. We want to be ready for this once it becomes mandatory. So it's thinking about how can we get more of these leading companies to have a voice and to say, this is what we're doing. So we need, I have no idea what that was.
That's a peacock.
So just a backdrop, we're in their space. They are the original landlords of this place. In their natural habitat. So that's the peacock, and I think we had a monkey at the back.
Yes.
I've never heard a peacock before. I always thought they were silent, so this is a special day.
Nice.
And I think that peacock was giving us a thumbs up for talking about sustainability.
And of course,
she hit it there.
She was like, yes,
This is thumbs up to Lekki Conservation Center.
Yeah, so we need a loop where, government is taking action, which is encouraging business, and that continues to encourage government.
So you're saying it's a two-way thing. Businesses, government. So nobody can work in isolation.
Exactly. So recognizing there must be a business-government dialogue, and that's actually one of the things that the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, as well as Natural Eco Capital, is going to be doing. So there's the Global Biodiversity Framework. It was adopted in 2022. It's a global plan for how we're going to manage the world's biodiversity. And each country has to come up with a national biodiversity strategy and action plan. And this kind of country-specific plan is meant to be done with a whole of government approach and a whole of society approach, including the private sector. So going back to, how can businesses contribute? They need to know that there are things like NBSAPs, these national, these country-specific plans, and they need to know that there is a role for them to play. They need to engage with their partners. They need to learn, and they need to recognize that the way a bank, for example, in Victoria Island, the way they're going to be sustainable is very different to a hairdresser in Ajayi. So it's that recognition that sustainability doesn't always look exactly the same for every business.
Based on their peculiarity.
Exactly, So sustainability, the key thing is making sure that we are using our resources today in a way that won't stop future generations from using resources tomorrow. So that is the key thing about sustainability.
So I really love what you said about the activities for businesses. But for me, I would like the practical approach from what we can do as individuals. Yes, there is this pyramid of government. We know the huge role that government has to play in sustainable living or sustainability. But what can we do as individuals? Say, for instance, now, there is a ban on nylons, plastics, styrofoams in Lagos, and the effect started this month, I think 1st of July. So, but you still find that some persons go to the store, the supermarket, expecting to get nylon instead of you to, reuse or recycle the one you already have, or you complain that, oh no, they are charging you X amount of money for that nylon. So there's a lot we can do as individuals. And I'd like us to highlight that even from, I love what you said also about businesses doing that from the lens of competitor or their competition. I'm talking about planting of trees, reforestation, and reforestation efforts, basically. So what can businesses do? Practical approach business on your side, and then for my doc here, from the individual aspect as well, and even private sector, what can we do? Let's cascade the conversation down to us citizens, because the city is for us. We all live here, not just the government.
Okay, so great analysis we've done, starting off from what government's role is, and then what businesses' role is. More importantly now is the people, and sustainable living is a lifestyle. Sustainable living is actually very, very lucrative on the long run. Sustainable living sees us taking practical steps, on a day-to-day basis that helps the bottom line. You need to just take a holistic look at every sector of what you do, and you'd realize that by living sustainably, you actually become much better in every sense. Starting from your energy practice, switching from yellow lights, which some people kind of like because it looks fun, to LED lights, switching from fossil fuel power generators to solar and using inverters. A bit more expensive at the onset, but then we hope that government can remove the tariffs on them, so more citizens can afford it. So with our energy consumption, we are talking about like the LED lights, using alternative sources like solar powered lightning, using motion sensitive lights, so that when you're out of the room, they go off. It goes off. When you are in the room, it comes on. Switching our appliances to the smart ones, where the air conditioner turns on. Practical steps. You use your thermostat. Many people don't realize the remote for the AC actually has a thermostat function. So by going on mode, make it at say 26 degrees. While you are sleeping, it switches off, and then you can put a timer in your kids, in your spouse, in your living room that makes sure that the air conditioner goes off at certain times. So by also involving sustainable living in your food practice, man must work, and food is what makes a lot of movement. Collating all your shopping activities into a proper way, getting a food calendar for your home also helps. Some people send their maids or send their domestic staff errands every other time, rather than just take a list, understand all your needs, and go to the market once. Starting a home garden also helps, because you reduce the amount of stuff you need to go out to get. You could have a home garden where you have vegetables, spices, even a few layers. So you get your eggs covered for protein. You get a small fish tank in your apartment. So use your open spaces. These are all sustainable living practices. We've always had the reduce, reuse, recycle slogans in this sustainability space. But it's also good to add refuse. You need to also refuse certain things. And it's quite a challenge because of the amount of information out there. I give you an example. I go to a supermart, thanks to Lagos State Government, Ministry of Environment, for this ban on single-use plastics. Either you go to a supermart and then they give you toothbrush, 1 nylon, soap, 1 nylon, drinks, 1 nylon. You go to a eatery, they put all the water, 1 nylon, the toothpick, 1 nylon, and then you start.
And by the time you're coming out with
5 nylon that all go. So I see myself always trying to educate, always trying to enlighten the service people, and it goes back to businesses. You now see that businesses must first be conscious. It now makes their staff conscious. But back to the individuals, living sustainably through simple steps, your energy consumption, your food practices, right? It's also a serious part, your culture. Then it's also important not to see sustainable living as elitists. Simple steps
this is also
help a lot and save you a lot of money. Food is also what I mentioned, now. Then also you go to the dry cleaning. I always have the problem. I go and get my clothes dry cleaned, and each shirt is put in a nylon. And I keep telling them, no, put all my shirts, 3, 4, 5, in 1 nylon. And then I go home, I fold the nylon, and I return the nylon to the dry cleaner. And I say, my next clothes, use this same nylon for my next clothes. And then gradually I sent a bag, and I says, don't even put my clothes in any of the nylon packs, and I incentivize the attendants, and I've been able to see them taking those practices. So little steps count. There's also the carpooling options. So I mentioned to you, I have a vehicle my wife and I are sharing now. She's gone to Akure yesterday. They dropped me off in VI, came back, picked her up to Akure, and the vehicle is meant to now serve all the purposes. We don't have one vehicle for children runs, for school runs. We have one vehicle for the domestic staff to go around. I have one vehicle for mobile police. I have one vehicle. It's just crazy. As much as possible, be conscious.
To reduce your carbon
footprint. Cycle if you can, walk if you can. Conscious choices. If
That's
you get
the
an
keyword.
office space, get your office space close to your residence so that your commute time will be as much as possible reduced. Go to functions with buses, you organize your parties sustainably. Use carpooling options for your guests. So if I'm doing a party, I say I'm sending a bus to Joju, I'm sending another bus to Maryland, I'm sending another bus. So rather than have 60 guests all coming with cars, back to what I said, there's also the mindset. People feel this elitism. I want to go in my own vehicle. Right. I don't want to be with people. I don't want to
the classism
and the rest. I also have some nice rubber shoes here.
Interesting.
So I go to even VIP places with it, and people feel that why are you wearing this? And I'm saying, the more we wear this, the more we patronize recycling options.
Interesting.
So lifestyle matters.
This is made from
absolutely from plastic.
Oh wow!
It looks very cool. Compliments. I got 5 different colors. It looks very fashionable.
Yes.
So our lifestyle matters a lot. Then fast fashion is another problem. Stop patronizing clothes that you use Ankara for parties and then we dispose them. If you're going to have it should be reusable. You should be able to wear it again and again. And then rather than disposing, gift somebody. There are people out there who really need this clothing. But we have people who have a warped mentality to a lot of things. So sustainable living in Nigerian cities,
it's not just
across every facet. And on the long run, it's important to educate people that it's actually more cost effective to live sustainably. You end up saving so much money on the long run than you would, if you ignored it. And besides, the environment is a continuum. So what you do in your house affects somebody else elsewhere.
In the society. I really love what you said. Thank you so much. Speaking about awareness and sensitization, that's why the Naija Eco Vibes podcast has been inaugurated. We have sent out the maiden edition. That's the first episode, and it's powered by the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. This is our own way, of educating the citizenry to reaching out to people, especially the demographic, the young people. We are talking about these things. People feel like this topic is for the elites, the way you spoke about, and also for a certain class. Whereas you that you're doing you're a tech bro out there, you don't know it cuts across you, you're a fashion designer. You see, doctor has, demystify them into various sectors. So we all have our roles to play. I really love that aspect. So if I may just chip in a bit on what he has said. Do you want to add to what he has said already?
So actually just on the plastic ban, right?
Okay.
So in this capacity, I'm speaking as an individual just living in Lagos and not as a colleague of business nature. But a friend of mine was complaining about it, and he said, why do I have to go to the supermarket and pay 500 naira for a nylon bag? Because he's thinking, we already have inflation, things are already expensive. Now you're adding something else. And I said to him, first of all, it's not in every place. It's the big supermarkets that are doing this ban, because we recognize, again, this is what I'm saying, right? Sustainability is different depending on the size of the business, capacity, so on and so forth. So you will have higher expectations for bigger businesses and bigger supermarkets. But for those ones, they should enforce the ban, right? And he said, yes, but there's this and this. And I was just thinking to myself, Oga, when you buy the nylon bag one time, you can use it again. Again. The next time you go to that same supermarket, bring that nylon bag. And it's not
also just to add that the money, ideally you're not supposed to pay for the nylon bag, but that's just a way to
deterrent.
It serves as a deterrent to deter you from. So when next you come, you're going to bring your bag. That's recycling.
But I also think that's where the conscious, deliberate effort plays in, because it feels like people are used to, I just get this thing once and I dispose.
Exactly.
I'm happy he doesn't like the idea.
Let me chime in something very important that we overlook. We have poor planning as people. We have African time syndrome. So we also have poor African shopping syndrome, right? Why do we have to go shopping every day? First of all, that's why I started by saying, as part of sustainable living, you have to plan.
Beautiful.
The menace of street hawking is a crazy phenomenon. When Akon came to Nigeria for a show, one of the Star Trek the other time, and he was interviewed, he said, when he left the airport, he saw mad people everywhere in Lagos. And his impression of mad people was being shocked at people running at the cars.
Trying to
sell. That people are carrying a supermarket on their head. And when people buy stuff on the road, they don't trash things in their car. It goes off. So fast shopping is an issue. Fast shopping is an issue.
True.
So we need to cut down on fast shopping, fast fashion. And that's what is driving somebody feeling, because if you really plan, you will go with your bag. If you plan your shopping, you will go with your bag.
Exactly.
But when you just go into a supermarket and then you just remember my deodorant has finished, my toothpaste has finished, those are the things that compel you to get irritated. And then another concern is the awareness. Sometimes in my work, trying to educate people at the counter on getting to use one pack for so many things, I get amazed at their reaction. And they say you are one in a million, because we find people who will flare up.
Wow.
Educated people in front of their kids, they flare up, separate this. So it's not about education. You know, you mentioned about a friend of yours who obviously must be well-to-do, who obviously must be up there. So you even find that even the elites require education. So the level of awareness on how our day-to-day living contributes to our sustainable cities cannot be overemphasized. And shout outs to the Naija Eco Podcast. Great vibes you guys are doing. I think this will move very well. This will help push that awareness. The topics you are throwing out there are very, very touchy topics.
Thank you very much.
And I just wanted to say, I think it's definitely a global problem when it comes to just this consumeristic mindset, where people are just used to consume, and they're not thinking about a circular economy. We see this in Nigeria, but we definitely see this across the world as well. So I think we need to recognize that behavior change is something that's just going to take time. So we need to have these regulations in place. We need to have the right policies. Businesses need to have the right practices. But it will take time. And I think that we also need to recognize when these milestones have been set. So generally, you'll have a lot of people who understand and they'll just simply adopt. In fact, there are other people who won't have an issue with this at all because they're already bringing these bags. There are some people who are not thinking about sustainability, but they don't like having millions of plastic bags in their houses.
So we call them unconscious conservationists. Those people that don't know anything.
Exactly. So I think we just need to continue pushing in the right direction. But the other thing I wanted to say is one of the reasons we have this kind of wrong mindset is because we are so used to having free ecosystem services. So things like pollination, things like water filtration, blood prevention, so many things that nature does for us for free. We just take it for granted. And just think this is something that we're always going to have.
That will always be there.
Exactly. So I don't need to think about, I don't need to think about emissions. I don't need to think about whether I'm contributing to plastic pollution because nature is just abundant. And I think that is one of the things that we do need to educate people about, and we need to show them, because unfortunately there are some cities that are getting to that point where they don't have the
clean air, for example.
Exactly. Cape Town, which is actually one of the richest cities in Africa, 2017 and 2018 they had a very big drought, and they were worried about something called day zero, where they wouldn't have any tap water at all.
Are you serious?
So in Cape Town, if you go there now, you're going to be aware that there's something called water scarcity. So there are many people who say, for example, don't flush the toilets unless you absolutely need to. So sustainability no longer becomes a thing of, it's a moral thing. It's a thing of
existential threat.
Exactly. So let's not wait until we get to that point before we start thinking about how can we save water, how can we recycle plastic, all of those types of things. And again, that's where businesses have a big role to play. They need to be thinking, in the future as well. So you need to have this futuristic mindset, and that's not something only for businesses, that's something for people. But again, it means we have to recognize what part do we play in this bigger picture.
I really love that. And, we can't keep talking about what they can do.
Right.
Could there be, challenges that these businesses are experiencing, preventing them from being sustainable? Individuals, we have those challenges as well. I really love what Doctor and what you said as well, concern the practical approach.
Yes.
You know, we've spoken about fast shopping, fast fashion, you know,
Yes.
all of those. And could there be some challenges that, you know,
That
inhibit
businesses
them
face?
from prevents them from being sustainable?
The truth is, we have to recognize that we are living in a country where there are a lot of currency fluctuations, for example.
Inflation.
You mentioned, you know, the incoherent policies as well. And sometimes the business environment can simply be tricky. So a lot of businesses are focused on just surviving. So what I mentioned about, you know, we got to think to the future, got to be
True.
resilient. A lot of businesses are thinking,
Let me
I
survive
better
first.
go. I'm just trying to make it to tomorrow. Why are you
Yes.
talking about 2050? You know?
Right.
But I guess the question is, how ambitious do we want to be as a people? Are we going to be a people who are defined by our current constraints? Or do we want to be a people who are focused on the kind of country we want to live in? And that also affects businesses. As a business, are you only going to be thinking survive? Because eventually these future risks, they're going to come if you don't prepare
Catch
for
up
them.
eventually.
Already catching up on us.
Exactly. They're already catching up. So it's a question of how can I think beyond, you know, where I am right now.
Yeah.
I think another one is a lot of people are intimidated. They hear sustainability and, like you mentioned, they think, oh, okay, this is something for,
Doesn't concern me. It's not
yeah,
my,
no concern me. It's not my problem.
When I never chop with belly food.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we need to think of how are other businesses also dealing with this, and this is why I mentioned, for example, the projects that the Nigerian Conservation Foundation and Natural Eco Capital is going to be doing with the government on, you know, creating that business-government dialogue to know how the private sector can contribute to the implementation of the Global Biodiversity Framework. You need to know as a business that there are other businesses that are struggling with similar things as well.
you.
So we spoke about competitors, but there's also something about just learning from your peers. What tools are they using? How are they dealing with these challenges? What innovations are available? Talk to each other, engage in that dialogue, learn, be inspired, you know? So I would think that has a very big part to play in how people can address these challenges, because the challenges are plenty.
Enormous.
I understand.
But we also have a lot of solutions. We have a lot of partners out there. Honestly, so many times when I'm in meetings, not just like this, you know,
Yes.
I'm in conferences and meeting with other partners, I'm honestly so challenged by, you know, the hard work, by the creativity. And so I know that the options are there, the solutions are there, but it just means that businesses have to be very intentional about engaging.
So,
Right.
Shoto, I like the fact that the business government collaboration, policy and business leaders collaboration is going on. I'm just going to ask because I don't know. I want to believe that it would also help businesses kind of cross collaborate their value chain. So what is waste to me can be
Yes.
raw material to the other
Yes.
business.
True.
And you may see
true.
a business's waste, you know, just going out as waste because they have no off-taker.
Yeah.
They rather
Right.
just trash it
Yeah.
than give it to another business who
Business.
uses it as
Yeah.
raw material.
Yeah.
Very
So
vital.
I want to believe that that would also help.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So we haven't started the project yet,
Okay.
but it's something that's in the works.
Okay.
And I'm really excited to see initiatives like this.
Great.
It would be a very good one to factor in.
So further to what we've been saying, because I know we are running out of time gradually, and I don't know if we will come back here
Yes.
to this point. It just occurred to me that part of the solution, long term, I like what she said about long term thinking.
Yes.
You see, from what she said, she had mentioned businesses trying to just go by, trying to just survive, rather than thinking long term. It is because of policy inconsistency. And socio-political considerations are one of the biggest risk factors to sustainability. That business leader is not sure whether the government of tomorrow would keep this styrofoam ban, for example. A new government may come, they may be from ZZY party, and they will
Another
upturn.
executive order will come.
Another
on
executive
top.
order will
Yeah.
come, and so we need to take sustainability. Nigerian cities, Nigerian government needs to declare a sustainability emergency and make it more like a standard, more like the national anthem.
Yes.
So it's also not enough to have Lagos leading the way in styrofoam ban and having a pilot project here. It needs to be adopted more like a nationwide approach.
There's actually a national policy to that, but it was constrained to just the MDAs. So what you're saying is right, because it needs to cut across
cascade, become a national campaign and not just for Lagos. The policy framework is there, but it was just limited to the MDAs.
It's important for this because the environment is a continuum, like I said. Most of the plastics out there in the ocean are not from Lagos. There are 70-80% of the waste out there in the ocean are from land-based sources. So plastics will be coming from Kogi, from River Niger, plastics will be coming from other countries and washing down to Lagos and clogging our drains.
And they are non-biodegradable, so they can't even decompose.
So as part of the business approach as well, it will also be important to push for businesses to have production alter their production. I read some places where they are now putting biodegradable components in the packaging. So the packaging industry can have biodegradable bags that eventually degrade. So it's just about the composition. So what we see most times as plastic now is the cheapest option. So if there are biodegradable made bags or packages, alternatives, even though they don't get recollected, when they get into the environment, they would go away. The big problem is plastic staying for 100 years, 200 years, 50 years, because it's very cheap.
True. Okay, so I know that, of course, like you mentioned, we are running out of time. But I think since talking about coming from the part of a nationwide campaign, looking at our demographic as a people, the young people make up about 60% of the country's population, which means whatever we're doing, we need to factor in the young people. So I was going to ask, as we wind down gradually, how can we bring the young people? How can we make them the face of, how can we make them advocates and champions of sustainability, so to speak?
We need to alter our curriculum.
Okay.
You see that my kids, for example, complain when they see other people throwing trash out of their windows. My kids, for example, I need to nudge them when we are in a restaurant because they start talking to other people. And I see that they are doing that because they see their father doing that.
Consciousness is there.
Yes, so they suddenly just become more aware. Yes. And they say that in their school, they say that to their classmates.
Right.
And that to a large extent means that if a parent can do that, the educational system needs to intentionally infuse sustainability, sustainable living into the curriculum.
Yes.
So it becomes a subject, or it becomes infused into social studies, into biology, into health education. So curriculum change.
That's key.
Secondly is political interests. Social political considerations, like I said, is the biggest inhibitor to sustainable living, whereby the people in policy are not connected to the realities. You have, say, for example, a lawyer being the commissioner for environment. Why there's nothing wrong with that, you need to see that the impact is that some of the policies that were there may not be of interest to him or her. So it's important that we start having specific people, technocrats. Government should reserve policy positions of speciality. The environment should be given special treatment. You can't put an engineer as commissioner or minister for health. You put a doctor there. The environment should be given that type of consideration. So long-term curriculum change, or rather long-term planning starts with curriculum change. Our children, the youth who have 60-70% of the population are going to be leaders. We say they are the future of tomorrow. Tomorrow is today. So we need to start imbibing it in them. One. Two, the political architecture needs to classify the environment as a risk constituency. And then three, political leadership needs to be made up of people with technical experience, people with activism experience, people with the interest of the environment at heart. You know, that ministry or that department or that MDA should be immune from political influence. We have to have a change of sight as a people, behavioral change.
Yeah, Prince, I really love the angle where you took it to the political class, but I hope, Shetta, you bring it to the individual, the citizenry. You know, these people constitute about, let's say, 3 to 5% of the entire populace.
Yes.
Now, we, the 200 million Nigerians, so to speak now,
yes.
what can we do, especially the young people? We've already established here that,
yes.
the young people constitute a larger demography of the populace. So
yes.
what can we do? We have young people in the tech space, we have young people doing AI, we have young people who are doctors, the young people who are into fashion,
yes.
makeup,
yes.
there's a whole lot. We've gone from the lawyer, engineer, doctor.
Yes.
There are lots of fields now that young people are venturing into. So how can they bring in sustainability into their crafts?
I would say that we're already seeing that. We're already seeing a lot of young people who are recognizing these issues and saying, okay, there's a problem here, but that means there's an opportunity. So for example, I was reading the story of We Cyclers. So she had, the founder had graduated from MIT, and she said, okay, I want to tackle the issue of plastic pollution in Nigeria. And so she got cycles or bicycles to be collecting plastics from, like plastic bottles, for example, from different people's houses. So we see things like that. We see stories of people who are looking at like old tires, for example, instead of just leaving them in the dump sites. What can we use these for? People who are starting, they're using tires to create like tiles as well, more resilient tiles. So there's so many different, if I'm going to start listing out all the different innovative businesses that have come out from this, we'll be here until tomorrow. But the point is, young people are recognizing that while government definitely has a part to play, and we cannot understate that at all. True. And while businesses are very key, there is something that young people have to do, because young people have that drive, they have that ambition. And actually, I can share the story of one of my favorite heroes, Wangari Maathai.
Right.
So she's an environmentalist, or she was an environmentalist in Kenya, also a human rights activist, and just an incredible hero. And she told the story of a fictional story, but based on real life in a way. Yeah. So imagine a jungle with a fire, a big fire, and everybody, all the animals in the jungle are crying and weeping. What are we going to do? There's a fire, there's a fire. And then the little hummingbird came to the stream, picked up some water with its beak, and then poured it onto the fire. And then it went back to the stream and got some more water and kept going back and forth and back and forth. And then the animals are saying, "What are you doing? You're just a little hummingbird. You can't do anything." But the hummingbird said, "I will do what I can." And Wangari Maathai, she started the Green Belt movement, won a Nobel Peace Prize, had incredible, her legacy, her impact is amazing. Huge, But it came from that thinking of, even if I'm not the big elephant with its big trunk, I will do what I can.
So small actions from your corner.
Exactly. So take the actions that you can take and recognize that other people are paying attention. Part of the reason that I'm in sustainability today is because of the people who have gone before me. So I've been inspired by my friends, by my parents, by my colleagues. And that has helped me recognize that, okay, there is an issue here, and we can't have a prosperous Africa without a sustainable Africa. So it made me feel like, okay, I kind of want to get into this space as well, So as a young person, even if you don't have all the political will, even if you don't have all the big budgets of the big businesses, take the action that you can take, but also partner.
Collaboration.
We need to recognize that all of us have limits, and that is normal. But if you partner with other people, they can complement your limits. So I think one of the best things is when, especially in the civil society space, people or organizations are honest about what they cannot do as well, and politicians as well. If you're a lawyer, like you mentioned, and you're in the environment space.
I think I shouldn't have said I'm a lawyer. The lawyer has been coming up too much.
And you can be an environmental lawyer.
Catch yourself.
I'm just kidding.
Is, even if you don't have that, you didn't study this in school, for example, listen. Take that time to learn and listen and work with other people. So I would say take the action for yourself as a young person, but also recognize who you need to be working with.
Awesome.
Wow, that's all I can say right now.
I'm telling you,
this has been very, very incredible. It's been enlightening, and we want to just give a special shout out to our special guest.
Yes.
They've done an incredible job today. And before we wrap it up, I just want to say that, just enumerate some of the things they've called that so we don't miss anything in action. So, we've spoken about awareness, environmental sensitization.
Yeah.
We need to shift, how we think towards the environment. This is not an issue for the elites. It's for everybody, you and I. We need to put in our own efforts. Businesses, you need to do more than just planting a tree.
Right.
Sure, store. I said it. I go lie. That's what it means, right?
Plant trees first.
Trees, but
But
yeah,
beyond, it goes
but
beyond that.
intentionally, scientifically.
Exactly. Do
Right.
more than that based off on the approach you listed here today. And Prince has also enumerated a lot of practical approach that we could look at this. We've talked about having your garden in your house.
Right.
We've talked about refusing nylons and plastics when you go out there. So these are ways and mediums with which we can live sustainably in our Nigerian cities.
Yes.
And we've looked at the challenges. So we're not just saying do this without recognizing, the challenges that these businesses or individuals have. And we've also looked at it from the angle of government policies, implementation of these government policies. But then again, we need to do our bit to the environment. Right. And that starts with now sharing this episode that we are sending to you. That's your own effort, your own little way of reaching the wider audience.
Right.
And following us, collaborations. We've been speaking about collaboration. This is something we can't do on our own, right? We need a lot of collaborations, partnership, businesses, individuals. NCF has a section where you could volunteer. You can come in as a member, individual membership, or even group corporate membership.
Right.
So you partner with us, and then we could scale up the efforts at your own level, and then we take it up from there. Right. It's been a very, very enriching conversation, and even the birds, the peacocks, the monkeys,
they graced us with their presence.
Everything is in sync with alignment with our conversations today. So I'll leave it for Shomi to say one or two things before we unveil some of the things we have for our guests.
Right.
And before our guests, show me, before you say what you have to say, we usually have, a key call to action from our guests. And so we're going to give you something. It's our own little way, our own special way of saying, yes, so you were there. Those days, you say, which generation is this? The gender, when you go to school, you say, I was here. This one is evidence that you're here. So we're going to pass it down.
Did you feel this thing in your hostel back then? People will feel I was here and put the year.
I did.
I can see Dr. Joseph Onoja there.
Yeah, he was on the first episode.
But that's awesome. And like you said, I was going to also say, and as we look to wrap up, another key thing that stood out is we talked about long-term plan. But for me, when she spoke about the society at large, one example that came to mind was, because while going on, one example that came to mind is how Japan structured their system. Someone was saying, if you throw trash around in Japan, you could be even sent to prison. That's how serious, that's how intense it is. And for us, cascading that back to us, you realize that the behavior change we talked about is very, very important. As people grow up from cradle, we need to imbibe that message in them that, okay, this is important and we need to toe this line. So those are
sustainability
key.
in itself goes beyond let me just survive. In fact, for your business to even thrive and stand the test of time, there needs to be sustainable. Thank you. Sustainable practices, management, and sustainability reporting as well. So please don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. So
at NCF Nigeria and also at Naija Eco Vibes Podcast. Don't just follow, subscribe. Just see what we are doing across this platform. Thank you. Share.
You heard Prince himself. Okay, so we are going to take one call to action from Prince, and Tor will give us another one.
Call to action, like your parting words, parting short, something that will stick, that people can take home.
So our cities make us alive. The environment gives us ecosystem services like the fresh air we breathe, water, food, and keeps us alive. Without the earth, there will be no us. So every step we take matters. Your carbon footprint is what you leave for the earth. So every step is very, very important. And more importantly, the role of government cannot be overemphasized through a conscious effort to have a political foothold in the system.
Yes, your parting words.
I would say recognize recognize that you have a part to play. Recognize that you matter. The fact that you matter means you don't just matter in terms of your family, you matter to the world and you're having an impact in the world. So what you're buying, which businesses you are patronizing, that all matters. I would also say, especially to businesses, recognize that in that story that I gave, you are the elephant. So there are hummingbirds that are
no way to be the hummingbirds.
Exactly. Don't wait only on the hummingbirds to reduce their environmental impact or to change things. Recognize that you are the elephant. You have a big part to play. And our politicians, our leaders, we are counting on you. We are counting, just as that peacock. We are counting on you, and we want a beautiful Nigeria. We want a better Nigeria.
Sustainable one.
A sustainable Nigeria. And we need to recognize that is going to come at a cost, but it is worth it.
It is
Awesome,
worth it.
awesome. Right.
Thank you very much. So before we actually draw the final curtains, we have a little something beyond the signing, and we'd love to give it this to you. But we'd love you to unbox it here on this episode.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Okay,
Like
thank
to show
you.
some level of hospitality, and
Yes.
to
So this is just a little thank you for coming.
from us to you.
Thank you.
From the Nigerian Conservation.
Wow.
Please go ahead.
Let's do some little
These days
unboxing.
when you see some stuff,
Hey,
interesting.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
For
we are.
my morning walk tomorrow.
Oh, nice, amazing.
Wow. Naija Eco Vibes.
Right.
You heard that?
And we are
Follow us.
sustaining
I
nature.
still have some other
one
stuff.
One vibe
I
at
won't
a
reveal it. Not to
He
be
said he will
revealed.
reveal the other.
Not to be revealed. They are private.
Wow. just to mention, everything is eco-friendly.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
We
so
are
much.
conscious of our environment.
Please do. Okay, and just to say, we appreciate your feedbacks, your comments, your likes, your subscription. Follow us on all our social media platforms, and that'll be that. Please stay tuned, stay greener, stay sustainable. Businesses, individuals, yes, you,
Communities.
individuals, everybody. Please stay sustainable and stay tuned. We'll be right back at your face again next time.
Next month.
Next month, same time, same channel. And I'm your host, Tura, and Shomi.
And we are still sustaining nature.
One vibe at a time.